Hello, hello. Today's a fantastic day to inspire lives. My name is Jaime G, Raygoza, and welcome to Finding the Unicorn in You, a weekly podcast and where we help individuals discover their inner talents and skills to separate them from the rest. Our goal is to inspire you to find and connect with your inner unicorn. I hope you enjoy this week's show. Hello, everyone. My name is Jaime Raygoza, and welcome to another episode of Finding the Unicorn in You. Today, I have a very, very special guest, a person that I really enjoy talking to. She is an entrepreneur, a social worker, a poet, a website designer, English teacher, a proud daughter of immigrants, and has a love of justice and good, and is also an expat, which she will explain a little bit of what that means later. So without further ado, I have Keila Mazariegos.
Hi, everyone.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what are you currently doing?
My name is Keila Mazariegos. I am half Mexican, half Guatemalan. I grew up in Santa Barbara, California, and I come from parents who work at the church. My dad's pastor and my mom is too. I felt that Santa Barbara was really small and that I just kind of didn't want to keep growing up with the audience, figure myself out in a whole new city. So then I decided to go to Cal Baptist University. I knew no one. I started from scratch and I'm doing that again. Like a lot of people, I evaluated my life during the pandemic. And so I decided to hop on an opportunity provided to me by one of my high school friends. She lived in Spain and she was an English teacher. And she's like, Keila, you should move out here. And I've been living in Spain for the past year. I'm gonna go back and I'm literally going in 2 days and I'm so excited. And what an expat basically is anyone that decides to live outside of their own country. So because I was born in the States and I'm now choosing to live in Spain, I'm considered an expat.
And you're the second expat that has been on this show. As we were talking actually before the show started, I have Rolando Cristobal, who also decided to do the same thing, which I think is amazing. It's definitely an act of courage. You're giving up everything that you find as normal and you're throwing yourself into a new culture, into a new location. So I applaud you for your courage and your bravery to do that.
Thank you. It was so hard. It was so hard. It was with so much difficulty and a lot of struggle after struggle, challenge after challenge. Living in a different country, you have a challenge every day. My purse got stolen, phone stolen, bank account froze. My back really hurt. My tooth chipped. I was homeless for like 2 months. And I was just like couch surfing. But yeah, that's the life of an expat. And it's so fun. It's so cool. And I encourage everybody to do it. I think everybody should travel for more than a month. You'll learn a lot about yourself.
You experienced through so many adversities just getting there. And I think it was like there were so many signs that the universe was like, maybe you should come back. But you're like, I'm not going to leave. I'm going to make this work. Because I know one of the things that occurred is that you applied for a job, it didn't go through. So then you had to do something else for income. How was that? What the heck
No,
is going
dude, it
on?
was insane. I forgot about that part. Just listing my struggles. Yeah, so I was supposed to be an English teacher. And so when I got there, I emailed them like, hey, I'm here. My visa got in late. So I honestly went maybe 2 months later. And then they were like, wait, you're still coming? I was like, yes, I'm still coming. And they never messaged me after that. And then my last job, they were supposed to onboard me as like a community health worker and I was going to help them with some leads and I never got any leads and like my plan A of income went down the toilet and then my second like backup also just didn't work out. Living off of my savings for a while, but when my purse got stolen, I had to cancel all of my cards. Thankfully, I had an Apple Watch and I was able to like use Apple Pay as my savings were like dwindling down. I was like kind of freaking out. And honestly, I have no idea why I stayed. I could have easily bought in a ticket with the rest of my savings and been like, you know what, peace out. I'm going to go. But I felt that like I had to prove something to myself. I just wanted to stay and see how long I could last. I'm really proud that I did because I figured out that I'm pretty tech savvy. I worked on a website at my last job. And then my friend from grad school was, you help me with like my tea brand? And I was like, of course. And she's super cool, super sweet. So then I started like working with her. She was super sweet to refer me to other people started getting clients for website work, and I was like, okay, like this is paying pretty well. I was like Googling the costs and stuff, and like imposter syndrome hit. And I was like, am I doing this? Like, should I be doing this? And was making money through that. It was enough to pay my rent. It was enough to travel, kind of like end my year when my visa ended in Spain.
Talk about bouncing back on your feet. I can name like 1,000 unicorn qualities that you just mentioned right there, but you persevere, you don't back off when things get tough, you lean in with difficult situations. And I think that was amazing of you because I don't know if I could have done the same thing. I would have probably been like, I'm bouncing. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I was here for a day. I'm getting the ticket back.
No, my best friends were like, Keila, like I would have been like, what do you mean? She's like, by the time you chipped your tooth, I would have been gone. I felt like I had no purpose for the longest time, but it kind of was nice because I found out a lot about myself. And I realized like, oh, this is what I like, this is what I don't like.
One of the things that about you that I love is your how humble you are and how you don't really say things as big as they are. Since the day I met you, I know we met at a job where you became a temp and you were doing a little bit of a data entry for us. And we were like, okay, we want you to enter like these 50 like clients inside the system. And you're like, okay. And then like, are you almost done? And you're like, oh yeah, I've entered like 75. And we're like, okay. And she's like, yeah, it's not the best, but I'm okay. You're like always very humble. But since the day I saw you walk in the door with your little sweater and you had your little iced coffee just shaking around in your hand, and I was like, we are going to be friends. And you're like, hi. Just like,
Not the iced coffee. No, yeah. I was like, oh, need my coffee.
But I think it's amazing because not everybody can just, and there were some things that you didn't even know, and you were teaching yourself as you went with website design with your clients. And I know we were talking on the phone, talking about like, okay, how should I do this? Should I do that? What do you think? And I'm doing this, and I'm just like, wow. And you were one of the reasons that I decided to even kickstart my business because I was like, she's over here living in a different country, getting clients left and right, not even trying. Imagine if she actually like tried to put herself out there, she would be like this big successful woman. But
imagínate, like
yes, and I know that that's not really your passion and you were just trying to do like side gigs just to get through. Whatever you put your mindset, you definitely accomplish. You're a very strong, independent woman, so creative, and you think outside the box, which is rare to find. I definitely think that's a really big unicorn quality that you have.
I'm gonna cry. That's so sweet. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna write all this down and just like affirm it every morning.
Do it. Box of affirmations and just have them every single day. Write them on your mirror so you read them and start believing them. I think
honestly, yeah.
I think that's one of my issues is that I don't see what I do. So sometimes I underplay with what I do. So make sure that you start believing exactly what you are and letting the people know what your talent is so they know who Keila is.
Period. Yeah, I know. I always get like really hard to be creative in a public space like social media. What you're doing is so vulnerable and so beautiful and so great because you're helping so many people and you're like showing your true colors and you're showing yourself and interviewing a bunch of people. And then also with consulting, like, hey, like you should be doing this. And that's like vulnerability in itself because exposing your talents and your skills, and that it's really scary to do. So like what you're doing is super brave and unicorn qualities that I see in you. So I just wanted to reaffirm you back. Not because you affirmed me, but just because like I've been thinking this for a long time. So
you're very sweet. Thank you. And I get the imposter syndrome too. Sometimes I'm like, am I really doing this? Should I really be doing this? But I'm just consistently seeing all of my friends, all of my little unicorns in my pocket. And I'm like, they're doing it. So I need to do it too. I can't stay behind. I need to keep pushing forward. Just like you and everybody else that I see, keep inspiring me every day to want to keep doing this. So thank you for being such an amazing person.
You're welcome.
So talking about unicorn qualities, what are some unicorn qualities that you think are important for people to have?
I think is someone that lives genuinely and unapologetically and very authentically. Some of the people that I look up to don't care what people think. Obviously, everybody cares what people thinks, but it's very little how much they care what society thinks or what people think of them. And I think that's so beautiful because it's just so strong. You're so sure of who you are that nothing around you like kind of affects that. So with people that have I love fashion, but like I'm too broke to partake in it right now. But I love people who have their own style. They're just showing the world who they are and they are unapologetically themselves. So I think people who are genuine about it, people who are humble, people who are just so sure of who they are unicorns to me, just because it's really easy to fall into societal rules and try to be, this like societally like perfect person. It's really hard because I see it everywhere. I see people blending into what society tells them to be. Our generation is kind of going away from that, and people are being more authentically themselves and coming out and being more fashionable and wearing the freaking bikini because they can, and doing all these things. And I think it's so powerful and so beautiful, and it's creating, like, it's making me see so many more unicorns in my life. But yeah, I definitely think that a unicorn is just someone that doesn't care what people think, what society rules are, and is just living and confident and free.
I 1,000% agree with that. And I think that a lot of us are so accustomed to be in these cookie cutter like jobs and these cookie cutter like lifestyles that we are afraid to be authentically ourselves. I know for me, and I've talked about this in previous episodes, is one of the biggest things is I thought it was unprofessional to dye your hair. I thought it was unprofessional to have it a certain length or to even grow out a beard. And I had to like look clean shaven. I had to dress appropriately. I couldn't wear any profanity or cartoons on my shirt because I'm an adult now, or live a certain lifestyle. But we can do whatever the heck we want, honestly. Like, as long as we're paying our bills, we're working at our job, we're doing what we're making some type of income, we can do whoever we want. We can love whoever we want. We can wear whatever we want, regardless of our shape, color, size, whatever it may be. I know one of the biggest icons that I find is a super unicorn is Lizzo, because she's consistently showing body positivity. Girl, be who you are, wear what you want. Like you said, wear that bikini, eat whatever the heck you want. You don't have to be on a diet. You don't have to lose weight. You don't have to look a certain way to be beautiful. You are beautiful the way you are. And I love Lizzo so much. I'm actually going to see her later in November. So I'm like super excited. I know I'm gonna cry as soon as I get on there.
I
But
love her so much. Like,
yes.
she's just great. Like, I love you so much.
So
Honestly, she's paved the way for so many people, and just
yes.
to feel comfortable in your skin. And like, I struggle with like body image too, as every woman and every person does. And it's just great to like have people online and through this like social media and like following people that look like me or have the same body type, or even like that are just confident in whatever style, whatever body that they have, because it makes me realize like how attainable it is to love myself, and like how attainable it is to like just do the things that I've been wanting to do regardless of what I look like, of what my size is, and just like doing it, just doing whatever.
Yes, and I do have to say it is easier said than done. Not allowing people's opinions to get to you is really, really hard. And that's a life lesson that I have to consistently remind myself every single day. Especially coming out as a gay Latino, I sometimes question myself, am I masculine enough? Am I being too effeminate right now? Am I looking a certain way? Because gay dating is super hard. Being a single gay male in today's society, if you're not like clean shaven, if you don't have a certain height, just by me being like 5'4", because I'm too short for most people, they're like, oh, you're not. I literally was on the app on Tinder the other day. I matched with this really cute guy and we were vibing. And I think I was after 2 days of talking, he asks me, oh, how tall are you? And I'm like 5'4". And he's like, oh, block. And I was like, we shared a lot of things. I was so vulnerable with him. We were so like good, but because I was in a certain height, I was block. So it really is hard for you to be authentically yourself, but you have to do it, because if you're not true to yourself, who you're gonna be? You can't be somebody else, because you're only you.
Yeah,
So
you're gonna drive yourself crazy.
so what
Oh,
advice do you have? Because I think what you did was very unique and even scary, because I'm pretty sure you had people like, are you sure you're crazy for going to Spain? You're crazy for being an expat? So like, how did you avoid all that negativity? How did you shun it out? And you're like, I'm gonna be me and I'm gonna do this.
honestly, I think there's only a couple of people that are you sure? Like, is this what you want to do? And it was mostly people. Well, one of them was like my best friend, but it was only because like we were super close and obviously like not having like I lived with her. Roommates that I had, like we were super close. And so, like me leaving in my head, I was like, yeah, I'm leaving. But then, for them, it's like, wait, like we're losing an important person in our lives. So, which completely makes sense. So that was really hard just kind of to accept. And then it's funny because like it hit me just like being home this summer of like, wait, I don't live with my best friends anymore. Like, like it's different and life is different. But other than that, there's like there I had really, really great support. Very, very great support. Everyone was like, wait, you're gonna do that? Awesome. There's a couple comments of like, they're like, wait, your career's just kicking off. Like, why are you leaving? And I was like, well, I already feel myself settling in my career and I don't want that to happen just yet. There's things that I want to do before I get my licensure, be a clinical licensed social worker. There's like things I want to do before like I settle down and start public speaking or like just things that I've always wanted to do. There's definitely like those comments, but nothing as negative of like, oh, she's dumb to like move to a different country during this time. There's nothing of that. I think if anything, like I was my hardest critic and I kept asking myself like, okay, Keila, like what are you running away from? Is this really what you want to be doing? Like you just got your master's, like you should really start paying off your student loans. Like what are you doing? But honestly, at the end of the day, this is just something I've always wanted to do, and I I believe that that was reason enough to just do it and to like see like how life was going to be and just push through it. I mean, now I'm going for another year and everyone is super supportive. My parents were like, when are you leaving? And I was like, oh, it was just an idea. So they're super supportive. But no, it's been really, yeah, it's been a pretty good transition into being an expat.
And I think you definitely took my mindset out of the box. One of the things that I grew up with is my dad's mentality of if things are not going your way, that means that that isn't meant for you. But I feel like that's a coping mechanism for fear, because a lot of things are never going to go our way. And just because it's not easy doesn't mean it's not meant for us. And that mentality is what keeps us stuck in poverty, keeps us stuck in certain places that we don't want to be. So for example, if you're applying for a new job and you hate your job and you keep applying, you're not getting a job, doesn't mean that you're meant to stay at that job. It just means you need to try harder. You need to think more innovative. You need to try different methods. And what you said is, I want to stay here. I want to make this work. And anybody else that was going to succumb to their fear and their worries and their anxiety would have just came back. But you definitely pushed that, and that is truly amazing. And you're teaching me that even when the going gets tough doesn't mean I need to give up. I need to keep going. So thank you for that. And hopefully other listeners are getting that too.
Of course. I mean, I may be dumb, but like,
No, you're not.
I'm just kidding. No, yeah, and I've never really thought about it like that. And again, like people always ask me, like, why did you go back? And honestly, I have no answer. I'm just like, I just wanted to see it through. Like, I've kind of already gone through the worst, and I could have gone through more, and I'll probably encounter more challenges this year. But honestly, having already done it last year, it just makes it way more possible for me to like keep pushing through. Me and my family like, gone through a lot, and we're very resilient people. I have very resilient friends, just Latinos in general. Like we've gone through so much, and we keep rising up, and we keep proving ourselves that we're worthy, that we're hardworking. Even though some people don't see that, it's like we keep pushing through.
There's a quote that you just reminded me of, and it's a little bit different than the usual one that we know. So it's, when life gives you lemons, swallow it whole, skin, peel everything, and look life in the eyes to show them that you ain't gonna take this shit anymore. So don't give up, keep going. And there's gonna be people that are gonna give you hard things, they're gonna give you hard times, they're gonna make you feel lesser than. Look at them head on and say, no, I am done taking your shit. I am done taking this like this BS, and I'm gonna keep going. And you don't need them to keep going forward. You can create your own orchards. You can get your own lemons. You can get your own needed things and keep going forward. But there's always gonna be people that are gonna be putting you down. And when somebody puts you down, don't take it as, wow, they think of me this bad. No, 90% of the time, if not 100% of the time, those individuals are releasing their own insecurities about themselves that they have to then bring you down in order to do that. And they may not doing it purposely, and they may not doing it as an intention, but it just comes out. So just remind them. And if somebody, the easiest thing to do when somebody's giving you shit is ask them, "Are you okay?" And then they'll get thrown off because they're like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Why are you giving me so much sass? Why are you giving me so much pop? Why are you so enthused about my life that you're not worrying about your own? Are you okay? Is something going on? Can I help you with something?" And
Yeah.
then have that conversation. A lot of the times they'll just walk away because they don't want to talk about it. But know that if people are talking about you, that's a sign that you're doing something good, because it is, because that means that you're thriving, that people have the need and the obsession to talk about you.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, the people pleaser in me is just kind of like, oh my gosh, like, did I do anything wrong? Like, I'm so sorry for thinking this, or I'm so sorry for getting mad at you. But no. A lot of the like, I like to think I'm very self-aware because I really am. Like if I snap at someone, like I instantly am like, okay, why did I do that? I try to do my best to talk to people that I trust and be like, okay, like here's a situation, like was I in the wrong? Because if I am, then I'll look at it differently. But if I'm not, that's kind of where it gets a little toxic because I like to tell people I'm right, but not tell them. Like if like injustice, it's just kind of like if you're gonna yell at this woman just because she's a woman, like I'm gonna yell at you because you're yelling at this woman and you need to know that you're wrong for doing that. But also like I can't spend my whole life convincing someone that what they said was wrong. A lot of the times I like to shift my perspective and be like, okay, like maybe they just don't understand it. And do I want to make it my responsibility for them to understand it? Most of the time it's like no, because most of the time it's like people that don't even matter. But if it's people that I love and I'm truly worried about, then it's like, okay, I'll take the time to like talk to them.
The last thing before I switch to the next question, and then it's just something that you said right now. There's another quote that I go by. One thing you have to remember is that insecurities are loud and confidence is silent. So if you're trying to have a conversation with someone and they're consistently trying to justify their action or they're trying to say something, stay silent. Know that what you said is there and don't keep over explaining yourself, because that means that they're trying to explain and convince you of the insecurity that they have. Don't. What is the point in you beating a dead horse if they're not going to get it?
Yeah. Yeah. If I have a problem with someone, my responsibility is like to let them know. If someone that I'm surrounded myself like all the time, like I try to make it a priority to, if I have a problem with you, I'll let you know. But more so like I'll let you know how you made me feel, not have to explain why. Instead of like, sharing my whole childhood trauma of like, okay, this is why I got mad and blah blah blah. It's like, no, like when you said that it hurt me and I just wanted to let you know. Like, here are my boundaries. Confident in silence.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. Saying it once, I think, like you said, let them know what you feel. Say your boundary once, but don't, because that's what a boundary is. You only have to set it once. If you're consistently reminding them about the boundary and allowing them to cross that boundary, and then like this is the final warning, there's no warnings. You get one warning and that's it. Once you cross that boundary, we're done. Now comes the consequence. And you have to be persistent with that. And that's one of the hardest things about us, because we want to make everybody to feel good. We want to give back to the community. We want to make sure that everybody is in a good state, but that's not always going to be it. We're not responsible for how we make other people feel. We're only responsible on how we act and how we respond to certain actions.
Yeah, completely agree.
So for the month of November in the United States, we celebrate Thanksgiving. And this is a day where we give thanks for the blessings that we have had that year and years prior. So for you, what are some things that you're especially thankful for?
Oh my gosh, so much. I think gratitude, honestly, is one of the best tools for happiness. And, everybody knows it. Stay thankful and
Mm-hmm.
to stay appreciative of all the people you have around you because it just makes you love life a little bit more. Before you can romanticize your life, I believe that you have to be grateful for the things that you have in order to romanticize your life. I know, like, that TikTok trend, filming the most basic things, but then putting like a nice aesthetic around it and being
Oh
like,
yeah.
wow, within those videos are things that they're thankful for. It's brewed cup of coffee, it's leaves on the floor, it's the trees and blowing in the wind. And I believe that once we start recognize that as like, oh, okay, like this is my life and I'm grateful for the leaves on that tree. I'm grateful for the wind in my hair. I'm grateful for the presence that I feel in this room. I just think that thankfulness is a huge tool for happiness. And so what I'm thankful for is my family. I love them a lot. I'm a big family person. I just think back to my great grandma who turned 92 last
Oh
week.
my gosh.
Is that crazy?
Wow.
And she's still like, she is muy arreglada. She like is always has makeup on, always on fleek, like just looks so good all the time.
Love it.
She's dancing still. Just like thinking of her and thinking of my grandma and thinking of my dad's side of the family as well. And strong, like business minded people that are on his side. And then more of like the professors and people that are on my mom's side. Being surrounded by so much beauty, so much strength, so much education. Just so thankful to know that my bloodline is just so cool and loving. It's just good to know where I came from. The thing that I'm thankful is having another opportunity to live in Spain, being accepted to the program again, getting my visa, and I'm thankful for my friends. Shout out to Jessica and Robin because they're always there at my beck and call. Every time I have a problem, I just call them there for me. We've been through it all, and it's crazy to see like how much we've grown with each other. And I'm grateful for you. Just because like thank you so much for this opportunity and talking on your pod, Kat. And I may have rambled a lot, but I hope someone gets something from this. And yeah, I'm just thankful to talk to you and have you as a friend, get to know you through temping. And if anyone wants to temp and they're living in California, look up Robert Half. It's pretty good if you're like unemployed and you need a job right away.
And you're amazing. And it's great to be thankful. There's always something to be thankful for, regardless of how bad the situation may be. There's always a bright side to everything. You're like, I'm thankful that I'm still alive. I'm thankful that I'm able to take this breath right now. I'm thankful that I'm able to see, to hear, to taste. And sometimes times do get rough, but consistently thank yourself for doing the best that you could today. With all of these amazing people that you mentioned, you have to remember that you're amazing. So, with that being said, what makes you a unicorn?
I was like never the kid that just played soccer. My parents just kind of put me in everything. And honestly, like I'm thankful for that because of how much knowledge I have surrounding a lot of things. And I feel like that's made me really approachable. Like there's been conversations that I've had with people and they're like, wait, you've done this? I'm like, yeah, like I played soccer and I played volleyball, but I was also in choir and I did theater. Now looking back, I'm just thankful that I've been able to be in so many different spaces to like meet so many different people. And a lot of people have told me that they're like, hey, let's just like light when you come into a room. It's just really comforting to know that I make people feel good. And that's honestly like all I ever want in life is just to make people feel loved, see all the love I have inside and just give it.
And I agree. I agree. I think you do have that little beam of light, and I think you're consistently shining on people. Even when we work together, and even now, like I was going through some tough times, and then you call me, you're like, it's gonna be okay. You're gonna do great. You got this. And I'm like, thanks. I appreciate that. I really needed that. And I'm over here crying, sobbing. But I was like, thank you so much. But I think that all of these qualities do make you a good unicorn. Overall, you're such an amazing individual, and I'm so glad I had the privilege to meet you and continue to interact with you because I am super excited to see what your future is in store.
Me too, because I have no idea what's gonna happen.
None of us do. None of us really do. You know, we're just living this thing that we call life and trying to get through it one day at a time.
Exactly.
In lieu of Thanksgiving, if you had the opportunity to say personally thank you to anyone in the world, who would it be and why?
Someone I would love to thank, his name's Mihai. He was one of the directors of a social entrepreneurship program that I did. I was working at a nonprofit and he truly saw something in me that I never saw in myself. And he was the he was like the first person to call me an entrepreneur, and he just believes in me so much. And he encouraged me to go to Spain. Mihai, if you're listening to this, thank you so much, because the way you believe in me, I don't think anyone has really believed in me that way. And with you, I honestly feel like I could do anything.
Oh, that's very sweet. And now something that's not so sweet. What is one of the biggest challenges or life lessons that you faced in your life?
Adulthood. It's literally
Yes.
just living as an adult. I'm realizing that the adjustment into adulthood, no one really talks about. Realizing like it's hard to meet people, realizing it's hard to date, realizing that you're changing and you're not the same person you were 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 8 years ago. Realizing that, like, yes, your friendships are going to look different. That doesn't mean they're like that's a bad thing. It's just like adjusting, or, letting some go of some friendships that you thought you'd have forever, and that being okay. Adulthood comes with a lot of loneliness and feeling like it's a Friday night and normally I'd be out in these streets, but I'm really like inside reading a book. You can be angry at someone, but also miss them, and be heartbroken over something, but still be excited. That exists, and that's okay. You just have to like allow yourself to feel those things, because I think for a long time, like societal norms, it's like, oh, like if you're mad, you can't show it. But it's like, no, you can show it. Like, that's fine. Anger doesn't mean you're negative. Anger is just a natural
Response.
feeling that you have to like let go, because if you keep it inside, then it's going to come out in different ways that you're not going to like.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to hurt other people. Both it's just challenging, but it's also taught me sweet reminders of like, oh, these people are here for you. It showed me like loyalty. It showed me beauty and loneliness, taking the time to learn more about myself and doing things that I've always wanted to do, and not making the excuse of, oh, I'm not going to do it because like I need to go with someone. It's like, no, like just do it. Like I'm a big encourager of solo trips, of like going on self dates and things like that, just because it's a great time to get to know yourself and
Exactly.
know what you're afraid of, know what like you're excited for, because no one's telling you like, oh, let's do this, and you're like, oh, okay, like yeah, let's do that. Like you could just figure that out by yourself.
You hit a lot of good points there. And yeah, adulting in general. And it's like I still remember myself when I think I was like 20, 25 or 26, where I feel like somebody popped the bubble where I was like, wait, my life is completely different. Like I'm not the same person. Like I don't have the same friends. Like, but like I was having an existential crisis. I was having a quarter life crisis. And it all hit me. And it's like, wow, I'm an adult. Like I'm no
Yeah.
longer a kid. And it's like that whole fantasy of like life is great. Everything's gonna be fine. I'm gonna have the same friends forever. Everything popped. And you just have to kind of like soak it all in and learn how to deal with it. And I think it's one of the biggest challenges that we all have to face.
I think the hardest part too is being so hard on yourself of like, oh, why am I not over this?
Mm-hmm.
But just like letting yourself feel things. Like it's different for everybody. Like one person could like get over, a breakup in like a month and be like literally completely okay like after a month. But another person can take 2 years.
Yeah.
It's just different, and it's like allowing yourself to heal and feel things and not punishing yourself for whatever other people are doing. Life looks different, but it doesn't mean it's not beautiful.
Exactly. And if you could give one piece of advice that you want our listeners to kind of stay with this episode, what would it be?
Just do it. Just do the freaking thing. Like, what's the worst that can happen? A lot, probably, but just do it. It's probably not as scary as you think it is. And if it is, have someone to go through it with you, but just do it. Like, trust yourself, because you'll be really surprised what you can actually do.
That is such a very needed advice, I think, for a lot of people. And I think even for myself, just do it.
Yeah.
But thank you so much. This has been such an amazing and such a fun time. I can talk to you for hours, and
I know.
I had to force myself to cut myself for certain things. I was like, I can't respond to this, and I'm running out of time. So, but you're such a fantastic individual. And if anybody wants to follow you or follow your journey in Spain, or if they want to contact you in case they're interested in doing something similar, where can they reach you?
You can reach me on Instagram. It's at Keila Masariego. And you can reach me on TikTok, where I romanticize my life. I think that's Kale Kip. Don't ask me why I came up with that. I don't know. But yeah, follow me on TikTok or Instagram. Be a DM. I'm honestly like, I don't like gatekeeping anything. So like, if you want me to send you the link to the program, I will. Like, just let me know if you're like interested in living abroad or anything that I talked about. So yeah.
Yes, and I will link both her TikTok and her Instagram in the show notes. So feel free to just go in the description and then just click it, and it'll go straight to her profile. But it's been such a pleasure. Thank you so much for being here. And any last closing thoughts or anything else you want to say before we finish?
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for listening to my podcast. To my podcast. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. Like, subscribe, share, so Jaime could be shared all over internationally. Actually, you're international.
Yeah, we have listeners in quite a few countries.
Yeah, keep Jaime international, guys. That's all I gotta say.
Thank you so much, and for everyone that's listening, feel free to hit that subscribe button. And like as you know, this episodes come out every Friday at 7 a.m. And we appreciate you all, and I hope everybody has a wonderful day. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks again for listening to Finding the Unicorn in You. I would like to ask you to do 3 things for me. If you have enjoyed this episode, or if you are enjoying listening to this podcast, hit the subscribe button and share it with a friend. I have a lot of great guests and content that are coming up in the future, and I don't want you to miss a thing. 2, if you have any comments, suggestions, or feedback that you feel would make this podcast better or more engaging, or if you would like to be interviewed for a future episode, feel free to shoot me an email at raygozaconsulting@gmail.com. Lastly, if you like this podcast and would like to support it, we are accepting any donations to help sustain future episodes. There is a link in the description of this episode. Feel free to click it and to donate anything from a cent to your heart's content. All donations are truly appreciated. Thank you again, and see you next week for next week's show.